Hi, everyone. I am Zakirra McKinnon. I am currently a PhD student in the clinical psychology program at the illustrious Howard University. Prior to coming to Howard University, I obtained my master's degree in counselor education at Georgia Southern University. And then prior to going to Georgia Southern University, I obtained my bachelor's of science at Kennesaw State. And of course, I like to let everyone know my first year of undergrad, I went to FAMU, so go Rattlers. And of course, I have to mention that I'm from one of the greatest cities in the world, and that is the Valdosta, Georgia, from Valdosta Wildcats, so go Wildcats. So I'm super excited to share my experience and some small tips that may be helpful for other people on their journey of applying to PhD programs. So yeah, let's get started. So why did I choose to become a clinical psychologist instead of any other type of psychology? So my focal point, since I decided that I wanted to become a psychologist, and I knew that from when I was in undergrad, my focal point has been focusing on children. I am so passionate about working with youth, maybe from some of the things that I've seen in my own community. But I believe that you train up a child in a way that he or she should go so that when they are older, they will not depart. And there is such a outcry for and misdiagnoses of Black and brown youth. And I wanted to get in the middle of that and kind of disrupt and impede some of the statistics that are going on with our youth and figure out a way to help. So we see so many youth being diagnosed with conduct disorder or ADD, attention deficit disorder, and ADHD. And not that these aren't diagnoses that may be applicable to some of these young people, but I believe that there's a misdiagnosis because we as a community, and I throw us all in there, don't know how to treat or handle the differences that Black and brown youth present. Everything is not a conduct disorder. Everything is not attention deficit disorder. A lot of these issues that I believe that our young people, Black and brown young people, are facing are economical issues, are issues at home that they have no control over. So it's spilling over in school. So if we are misdiagnosing our youth at such an early age, that's going to continue to follow them. These are very stigmatizing diagnoses that are following our youth. So I wanted to get in the middle of that and disrupt the misdiagnoses that's continuing to happen and figure out ways how to provide tangible solutions, partnering with communities, learning the language myself, and then teaching others the language, finding resources that support our Black and brown youth, and not just giving them these very detrimental diagnoses that are continuing to follow them into adulthood. So if I believe, and my wildest dreams, but I believe that if we can help our youth from the beginning by not giving them these detrimental diagnoses that does not fit all of the youth that are currently diagnosed with these diagnoses, we can begin to find solutions that support the child as well as the family. So that is why I got into clinical psychology. I strongly believe that it takes a village to raise a child and support a family. And I believe that school is a part of that village. I believe that appropriate help is a part of that village altogether. So hopefully that answers the question. And then just kind of going on to the next question, how many times did I apply for the clinical psychology program? And do I have any tips for students preparing for interviews? So a two-part question, so I'll kind of go with the first part. How many times did I apply to the clinical psychology program? I applied one time, and I got in on my first time around, so I'm very grateful for that. And then tips that I have. So one of my biggest tips is not to be afraid to put yourself out there. Prior to coming to Howard University, I reached out to my mentor and asked to set up a meeting. And if I'm honest, I had no idea what I wanted to ask her when I asked for the meeting. However, I knew that I wanted her to know my name and know my face, because there's so many people in the applicant pool, so many amazing people with great qualifications in the applicant pool. And if we're honest, everyone is not going to get into the program of their dreams, because at max, most mentors are only taking 1 to 2 mentees. So I think that it's very important to put yourself out there. Hey, I would like to meet and have a conversation and just let you know who I am and some of the things that I've done and what I hope to get from your lab. And if I'm honest, be persistent and be diligent in doing that. I was very, very persistent. If my mentor did not email me back, well, of course, prior to her becoming my mentor, when she didn't email me back within like a week, I was like, hey, just wanted to follow up and check in on when we could meet again, or just seeing how the process is going. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And my next tip, it would be to reach out to students in the graduate program. I am in this program as a second year, and there are so many things that I did not know. I'm the first in my family, I'm the first to get a PhD, to be on this journey of getting a PhD. And no matter what you read online or what you watch on YouTube, it does not fully encapsulate what it's like being in a program. So again, reach out to people, ask questions, try to get an understanding of what it's like of a work-life balance. If you have family, if you're moving to a brand new state, like I mentioned, I left Georgia and moved to DC, the DMV area. So that was just a big thing. So ask people those personal questions, maybe not your mentors, but you probably can, depending on the vibe. But ask some of the students, because a lot of the students in the program are eager to help incoming students or potential students. And then my third tidbit would be save your money. My friends, it is very expensive because you are paying for the application, you are paying for your transcripts to be sent within the application process. And now that we are semi out of the COVID madness, and I said semi, most of these programs are requiring applicants to come in person and do interviews. So if you're living in Georgia and you're applying to a school in the DMV area, that's travel money, and you have to buy a ticket, you have to buy a hotel, there's food. So definitely save your money. And then another tip it would be to not put all your apples in one basket. I know I was so set on coming to Howard University. But again, I wanted to be realistic with myself and know that there are a lot of great applicants. And there's a possibility that I might not get in this go around. So I did not put all my apples at Howard University. I applied to other programs so that I could have a plan B, or it's not even necessarily plan B. I can have a plan A.1 if Howard University did not work out for me. So don't be afraid to do that. Have options. Talk to various different people, because you want to make sure that you're in the right program and that you're giving yourself an opportunity to get within a program. And another tip it is, if you do not get into your program the first time around, don't be afraid to ask for feedback and figure out how you can make your application stronger, or ways in which you can gain more experience for the next go around. So it's not the end all be all. And I know people are probably like, well, you got in on your first time. But there were, like, during my master's program, there were schools maybe I wanted to get into but didn't get into. And it's not the end all be all. There is an opportunity to get that feedback and to go back and apply, and maybe you'll be more prepared, or to their standards of preparedness the next go around. Um, and then I'm thinking, I think that's it. I think those are my tidbits for um, preparing for interviews, and just preparing for a program in general. And then more specifically, actually, I think my tidbits were more on the lines of just preparing for a PhD program in general, but preparing for an interview, practice, practice, practice. It is nerve-wracking to get in front of um, potential professors and have them ask you a line of questions. But my biggest advice is wholeheartedly go into the interview space being you. You are you. And I say that to myself all the time. You are you. And that means so much to me because I'm the only Zakirra out here. So I go into those rooms and in those spaces being yourself. I think don't sugarcoat, don't code switch. Be authentically who you are because everyone currently now, it's 6 people in my cohort. We all bring something unique to our cohort, like to our program, well, to our cohort specifically. So be who you are. Don't try to adapt to someone else in the room. If you're having a group interview, don't try to change your voice or switch up who you are because you see what someone else is doing. Because let's be honest, whatever program you're applying for, you all are not all going to come out of the program and be the exact same clinician or the exact same engineer or mathematician. You're all going to be something different and you're all going to have the opportunity to learn from one another while you're on this journey of obtaining your PhD. So I hope that kind of answers the question. So 4, how did you decide your research topic? Ooh, this is hard. So my first year, I had a research topic and I thought I was sold on it, but I was not. So during the summer, prior to coming into my second year, I just began doing more reading, doing more research, of course, finding gaps in the literature and finding questions and ways that I could add to the literature based on the gap and what I was passionate about. So currently, right now, what I'm working on as my thesis and what will be my dissertation, I am looking at the intergenerational link between trauma of Black mothers and Black girls. So when I talk about like that intergenerational trauma, I'm wanting to look at slavery, slavery time, during slavery time, and what Black mothers experience, and of course, looking at present time, what Black mothers are experiencing, and how what they are experiencing, have experienced, and currently are experiencing, how that's affecting their Black daughters. I feel that so much attention has been placed on Black males, and rightfully so. What our Black males and Black youth have experienced needs all the attention, needs a lot of attention. Let me say that, needs a lot of attention. But just as our Black youth are struggling, Black youth males are struggling, our Black youth girls are struggling just as well. Black youth girls, whether that be from the spike in incarceration rate, whether that be from the school to prison pipeline, whether that be from Black girls conceiving and having children young, it's a cry for it's a need. Let me rephrase that. It's a need to focus on Black girls just as much as we focus on Black boys. And in focusing on Black girls, I believe that, and even the literature, you have to know how they're being raised, and in knowing how they're being raised, you need to understand how mom was raised or how whoever the guardian was raised. And there's such the effects of slavery are still so detrimental. And our Black mothers aren't receiving the support and acknowledgement that they need. And I'm wanting to look at the socio-emotional effects and how that's affecting the girlhood of Black girls. How is that affecting And if it's affecting, that's a part of my research, if it's affecting, but how is it affecting Black girls and how they are being perceived and how they are growing up and how they're making decisions that they make. Um, so in doing and looking at this as my thesis and as my dissertation, it is my hope to bring more awareness and create tangible solutions to support Black women um, so that they can better support their Black daughters. And I also want to be able to bring the language to spaces that are trying to be a resource for Black mothers. I think in the literature, there are a lot of spaces out here who want to support Black mothers, but they don't have the language. They're not understanding that you can't erase slavery. We can't take critical race theory out of schools. And we can't ignore what Black mothers have faced and are continuing to face. Of course, we see that in the statistics with Black mothers trying to have children. We see it with Serena Williams. We've seen it with Allison Felix. You know, I'm a track girl, if anyone actually knows me. We've seen it with Allison Felix and so many other Black mothers. How is that experience and so many other experiences that they have? How's that affecting how their Black daughters see them and how they make their decisions? So that's my research. And I came up with my research because that's what I'm passionate about. Just looking at that intergenerational trauma in Black mothers and their Black daughters. And it's such a critical relationship between Black daughters and their mothers. Um, so that is how I came up with my research. And the next question, how are you able to use your psychology training to benefit your community? So it is my hope, it is my prayer that all of the experience from internship, externship, jobs that I've worked and am currently working, um, the knowledge that I'm obtaining within the classroom and just from my life experience, it is my hope to take all of that and to partner with communities, because I know that I can't do this work alone, but to partner with community members who are just as passionate as I am, and to create tangible solutions to help my community. So although my research focuses on Black girls and Black mothers, I want to help all minorities, all BIPOC communities. So I want to help by, we know that there's an issue. Everyone knows it. There's an issue within the schools. There's economical issues. There are institutional racism still going on. I want to help create tangible solutions by going in front of policymakers and saying, hey, this is what the research is showing. This is what the statistics says. This is what Black girls, Black mothers, Black boys, Black men are saying that they need. So how can we help? What are we going to do? I want more policies put in place to support my community. I want schools to have more school psychologists with better pay. So I'm hoping that my experience, my knowledge, my passion will allow me to go into rooms and advocate boldly and confidently for BIPOC communities. And in addition to my training, I'm able to administer assessments and help be a part of the solution in this misdiagnosing of minority youth. In addition to being able to do assessments and to help with the eradication of misdiagnosis, I'm able to own my own practice one day and facilitate counseling that is really non-judgmental, and facilitate counseling that address those behavioral and mental health issues that are being overlooked or underserved. So I, again, with my practice, I'll be able to do pro bono counseling, maybe hold events where those that don't have insurance, because we know insurance is a whole nother thing, but I'll be able to have those pro bono counseling sessions and put on community events and not just talk about the issue, but provide counseling services at the community event and support in providing jobs. We know a lot of our youth want jobs, and a lot of our mothers and fathers need just economical support. So maybe my practice, maybe my training and my knowledge and experience can can help bridge the gaps, plural, that BIPOC communities are facing. So, and then the next question, what do you hope to do as a clinical psychologist in the future? Uh-oh. So I think I answered that question with the other question. However, to reiterate, I hope to get inside of the school systems and help eradicate this belief that all BIPOC youth um, have conduct disorder or attention deficit disorder or ADHD, when really some of the youth just need someone to listen, someone to know the language, someone to know that what's going on at home may be the result of what's happening in the schools, happening to them at school. I want to be that person that understands that what's going on at school, the behaviors or the conduct that may be going on at school is bigger than just what's happening at school. So I really want to not just help the child, but to help the family. I think I mentioned this earlier. It takes a village to raise a child, but in actuality, it takes a village to help the family. You know what I mean? It takes the village to help the family. So to support the family. And I want to be a part of that support system for the family. And the family can be whoever the guardian is and the child. So I really want to focus on helping families in general. Um, in addition to having more people come in counseling sessions and treating those behavioral and mental health issues across the lifespan. Um, so yeah, I want to get in front of policymakers. I want to advocate for our youth. I want to teach and train our youth to advocate for themselves, to go in front of the room and say, "Hey, this and this is that." I want to teach the language of BIPOC communities. And yes, I believe we have sometimes a different language because it's not always received well by other communities. So I want to teach that. And I, I feel like this is such a cliche answer, but it's like I really want to help be a solution. I really want to help be a solution. I know there's a problem. We all know there's a problem. So I'm hoping that my clinical, um, like I said, I'm a second year. I'm hoping that in the next 3 years, that once I attain my PhD, maybe do a postdoc, um, receive all the hours that I need to receive to become a licensed clinical psychologist in the state of DC and in Georgia, going to DC and Georgia, that I can begin partnering with communities and even partnering with them now, um, building my own practice, getting away from um, insurance being the only way that people can pay, or getting away from $300 sessions. Now, granted, now, all this schooling, I do want to make my money, and I am going to make my money. But there's going to be pro bono work. There's going to be, sorry, there's going to be, I strongly believe that I will get with the right people and we will make change to what's been and what's continuing. So I'm always like, hopefully that answers the question, but hopefully that answers the question. Um, I'm super excited. I got to kind of share some tips and share my passion and my interest. Please, 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 for anyone who is on the journey of applying to PhD programs, interviewing, if you're already in the program and you're writing your thesis or your dissertation, let's connect because the writing process is a whole nother thing going on. But yeah, if I can share any more information, if I can be of any support, if you want to talk more, if there's anything in the video that I said and you're like, I don't know, let me figure out more, please, please, please email me. I'm going to provide my email. I'll say it now. And then, of course, it'll be provided for you all at the top of the video for you to have as well. So my email is zakirra.mckinnon@bison.howard.edu. Bye, guys.